So you want to be an it girl? Hi guys, welcome back to Confessions of a Wannabe It Girl. Today we are joined by Rachel from Just Because It's Pretty. Welcome, Rachel, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to see. I can't speak either.
Story of my life. And I talk into this
God.
mic. I know, whatever. And I was like, we're warming up. It's the morning. It's like 6:30 where you are, and it's 3:30.
Yeah. 6:39 for sure. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Absolutely. But yes, I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course. So let's just jump right into it. Do you call yourself an influencer?
That is a great question. I actually joke with my friends about that because when people ask me what I do, they're like, are you a content creator? Are you an influencer? And this is not my full-time job. I do have a full-time job. So it's really awkward because I never know what to call myself because I feel like it changes with the audience who I'm talking to. For example, my media kit, which is basically a resume for an influencer, content creator, that says content creator. But on my email signature that I use for everything around at Just Because It's Pretty, that says influencer on it. And so it really depends on the audience, I would say. But I think I do a mix of both, and I wish that there was a better name for it. Someone who is an influencer and a content creator, which are basically the same thing, but in theory, they're so different. I also feel like
what makes them different? What do you?
I would say content creator is someone who is not just showing, not just posting pretty pictures of themselves, which I feel like is the connotation that influencer has. And that's why I feel like it kind of gets a bad rep, which is why I don't necessarily outwardly say, oh, I'm an influencer. Because it does have that. It's like, oh, you just post pretty pictures on Instagram. But content creators, no, I work with the brand. We figure out what their goals are and their initiatives and what their product launches are. And we come up with creative ways to entice an audience and all of that stuff. And so, yeah, it's a loaded question for sure.
It's definitely loaded. So, okay. So when you're around who's the different people you would use a different name for? Would you say to me, you're a content creator, or and what do you say to your parents?
So my mom would say that I'm an influencer. My dad would be confused and say that Rachel has an Instagram. Yeah, she has an Instagram.
So does everyone's pet.
Exactly. Literally. But I don't think I don't know. My friends, so I went to LA, as I was telling you a little before we started, and I went to some Revolve events and things like that. And I was introducing myself to people, and I would say in that setting that I am an influencer.
Yeah, I would agree. If you're on that kind of event, you can totally just
exactly. And when I was introducing myself, and people are like, "Show me your page." You say that you're an influencer in those settings. But if I'm sending out my account statistics to a brand, I'm not feel like I'm an influencer. I'm like, no, I'm creating content for you type of thing. And I'm going to help support your brand.
Yeah, I love that. So how did Just Because It's Pretty, I think explains a little bit about you, but how did that come to be? Was that something that was always natural to you? Because you have a really to me, it girl aesthetic, traditional Instagram, very beautiful, perfectly curated. And it's some people I'm were you always just like this, or did Instagram teach you?
First of all, thank you.
You're welcome.
Very much appreciate it. And I've always been like this. And that's why I was like, I need to start this account. I would post there's this one picture that my two friends always make fun of. And I posted, there was this pretty straw on the ground at my beach house. And I posted a picture of it on my personal one, but my Rachel Just Because It's Pretty Instagram, which I never use anymore. And I posted a picture literally of the straw just laying on the ground. And they were like, what are you doing? And then that was kind of like, okay, I need to create this other account where like things like this are kind of normal. But I've always dressed the same. I've always been obsessed with pink. I've always taken photos like this. I mean, they've gotten a little better, truthfully, when I've created this account, because now I'm focused on like my background and how it will look on the feed and things like that. But I've always been a very creative person, I'd say. Like everything from like when I was little, I took like sewing classes while people were playing soccer on a Saturday. So like I always have the creative side to me. And I feel like it's just coming out in social media now, where I was posting like these random things on my personal account that really didn't belong there. Everyone else is posting pictures of them and their friends.
Right.
Which I still did, but there was the mix-in of the other stuff too that just did not go together.
No. I'm like, I totally, because it's like if you mix them in together, no one knows what you're posting or whatnot.
Yeah. And I wasn't trying to like post like an influencer, let's say, at the time, but yeah, I would just post like aesthetic pictures all the time of like random things, but like a lot of them. So it made sense to make another account.
Yeah, totally. I like saw your other account and I was like, oh, I wonder if she still uses this for like other things or not at all.
So like, that's a great question. I feel bad for that account. I haven't given it any love. Someone actually said to one of my college friends, like one of her friends said, did Rachel block me? Like, I haven't seen anything about her lately. She was like, no, she just doesn't use that account anymore. So what I post on that account, that's a good question. Like, if I have a great friend picture, like I'll post it. Or, you know what I've actually done lately? I went to like a wedding on New Year's and I kind of wanted the pictures on both accounts. So I did that new feature on Instagram where it could be posted on both.
Right.
I post pictures of my boyfriend on the other account. He's made it onto Just Because It's Pretty once or twice.
Ooh.
I know, like a soft launch on there, but he's totally on the other one. So I post like maybe max 2-3 times a year, and my other one I post every day. So wow. I do feel bad for it.
Wow. Yeah. So when did you start this Just Because It's Pretty page? How long ago?
Started it, I think it was April 2020. So like the beginning of pandemic. I had all this free time. It was my senior year of college, which obviously was cut short. So I was just home. I was at my beach house with my family, and I just really wanted to start it. I was like, I want to do this now. Like, this is what I want to do. And I had the entire summer off before I started my first job. So I was like, this is the time. Like, and I just love pretty things. I kid you not. Yeah. That is where the name came from.
I love that. If you can tell us, like, what's your other job? I'm just always so curious what the duality is.
So it did not make sense at first. It didn't. And I loved my first job. Loved it. Loved the people. Loved working there. But I felt like I had two separate lives. And I started my new job on Monday. So like, this is a big change. This is a brand new change in my
breaking news here.
Exactly. Everyone honestly thought, because I had like 3 weeks off in between my jobs, I thought I was doing my account full time. I was like, no, I'm just having fun. I'm fun employed. I have a new job. So my first job was straight out of college, made sense. I was like a business, and like, it was like a business psychology communications mix of a major type of thing. And I was a recruiter for a company that created healthcare startups. So like total.
Yeah, the aesthetic is really different on that one.
Oh, it's so, yeah, you think? So I would do my job. Job was great. And then I would do all the creative stuff after work or before work or whenever it was. But I felt really disconnected. And then how I got my new job, actually. So my new job, I'm working at Saks now. So Saks.com. If for those, I didn't know this either. Saks, the stores, and Saks.com split. So for the .com, I know you learn something new every day.
Not a clue.
And I actually got a DM at Just Because It's Pretty about this new team they were creating, and I wanted to hear more about it. And here I am now. It was my first week.
Wow.
And I really, really like it.
I'm sure. I mean, I would really like that
Yes,
too. I like that for you.
thank you. It just feels a lot more aligned in my life. Like I put in my Instagram bio type of thing. It
Right.
just made sense. And the other one, people are like, what?
Right. No,
But
totally.
it's just doing two separate things. But whenever I would tell people what my previous job, they'd be very confused. Even though I
Mhm.
loved it, they were just confused because they knew me and they knew I had this separate other life happening as well.
Right. I love that. So your page pretty much got you this job.
Yes, which is a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Crazy thing.
How did that feel?
I honestly, I was so proud. I was like, wow, I guess people notice. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard sometimes because you look at metrics on Instagram, but
Mhm.
like think and like that's what you measure your success off of. But I started a new job this week because of this page, which is crazy. I even sent them my media kit before I sent them my real resume.
Mhm.
They just needed to have my resume on file. So I
You're
ended
like,
up
yeah,
sending it to them. I was like, sure, I'll send it to you.
here it is. Like, I got it.
Yeah. So exactly.
Well, obviously you're doing like a lot too. So like, how do you balance like all of this? The theme this month is like holding yourself accountable and like being, I'll say content creator because
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah.
content
You
creator
can
slash
say, we can
influencer.
switch it up.
Right. I'm
Yes.
like,
Good. I like
today I
it.
say
There
content
needs
creator.
to be a new name. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I'll think
Like
about the name. I'll get back to
you
you on that.
procure work through Instagram as well.
Yes.
But that space, like
Exactly.
you have to 100% be in charge of
Oh,
yourself, run the schedule, know what you need to do. And like I, have seen a lot of people, obviously, when they get huge, have, teams work on them or even some smaller people
yeah.
too, but like it's still you and it's your name. And like, how do you manage creating content, posting at the right time, writing captions, the whole thing, and having another job?
It's a lot. It's a lot, especially when, well, back up a second. It was really easy to do it when I didn't have my
Sure.
jobs. And when I was fun employed, I was like, wow, this is the life. But now I'm getting back into my old routine of how I used to manage it. So I kind of felt like I had a little break. But
Mhm.
doing all this work, I didn't feel like I had a break, even though I loved doing it. So it's like a little, I don't know. But to answer your question there, I am someone who is like so type A. Like if I could plan it out, I will do it. And that's how it works. I have it pretty down to a system at this point. So a few things. All my content is taken far in advance. Like I have a folder on my phone of pictures ready to go. Like I just have them on tap and like I plan out my feed for a week before. So I do a lot of work on Sundays. Sundays, I upload my photos. So for those who don't know, this might be a little tip for you. For Instagram, if you go to Facebook Business Manager, you can save drafts or schedule all your posts. So
Mhm.
I will have posts go live while I am working. And I'd say the hardest thing about managing working and being a content creator, we're going to call it,
Mhm.
is posting at the same time every day. Because apparently that's the key to doing well. It says all the people on TikTok and the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I do like, exactly. I do like to stay consistent because it holds myself accountable. So I schedule all my posts out on a Sunday. I just sit in front of my computer all day. I write all my captions. I keep a hashtag bank. So it's just really easy to copy and paste them. And I play around with my feed. So I plan my feed first, then I schedule them all out and do captions one by one. TikTok's a little different. It definitely added a lot more work to my plate though, because it's
Mhm.
creating additional content. So half of those, I have like a lot of drafts, as I'm sure everyone does, even on their personal account. So some are ready to go, some aren't ready to go. But I try to post 3 times a day on TikTok, 1 time a day on Instagram. And the only day I take off is Saturday because I feel like people aren't on their phones as much. Correct me if I'm
Wow.
wrong, everyone listening. Yeah, I know it's a lot, but when you plan it out, all you're really doing is posting and engaging. And then
Mhm.
throughout that next week, like honestly, during the workday, I don't look how I look in all my pictures. Like I don't look like that every day. I'm not dressed up every day. Right now, I'm wearing a sweatshirt and like whatever. But if there is a day where I am dressed up or on the weekends, I shoot a lot of my content. Like if I'm going to Soho to get brunch with my friends, I will make someone take a picture of me. My roommates are so great at it. We go up to our roof on a break and we take some photos, but I just have them far in advance. And every time I can take a picture of an outfit, I will. Or like if everyone's wearing comfy clothes to go eat and I know that there's a location I want to take a picture at, I'm going to dress up literally to take a picture. That's the reality of it. And that's how I get my content in. I never go out to shoot, quote unquote. Like I truthfully cannot see myself going to Soho and having a tripod. I am not that confident. Rather, I'm nervous that someone's going to steal my phone and the tripod. Sure. I swear. I've thought about it so many times. Like someone's literally going to snatch my phone up. I don't know how people do it. So it's just thinking about every opportunity. And every time when you're on your phone scrolling as well, I edit content. Like before I go to bed, I'm up way too late every night and I edit content. And like, that's like what I do before I go to bed. I don't know. Just like part of my routine.
I totally see how that totally also works out because I am already on my phone so much. So it's like, it's right there. Might as well do something productive.
Right. And it's like, sometimes I feel like I have no content to like create or edit because like on a Monday, all my stuff is kind of ready to go for the week. I mean, if something comes up, then I'll post it. My stories, obviously, that's just day to day. But sometimes I'm like, what do I do? Like, I have so much content. Sometimes I feel like I have so much content and I can't post it all, which is often.
So you like crave to make more content.
Yes. It's so interesting, but I don't want to overpost.
Sure. Ooh, tell us about that. I haven't heard people talk about that enough.
I think there's a mix. Some people would want you to post every single second. Other people are going to get annoyed. And I never want to annoy anyone. If I could, I would post on my feed on Instagram. Maybe not photos, but definitely videos often. Because if I'm posting 3 times a day on TikTok, I could easily post all those videos on Instagram. But I have to be very selective about what might work and what people actually want to see. Because your audiences on Instagram and TikTok are so different. TikTok, it's kind of like a free-for-all. And whoever, it's like throwing spaghetti at a wall. What's that saying?
Right. And like, I don't care about who I follow. Like, I kind of give a fuck about who I follow on Instagram.
Exactly.
Right. I'm like, oh, I like it, whatever.
I've never unfollowed anyone on TikTok. I really, ever. But it's so funny how Instagram is so different. And I'm a lot more cautious about not cautious about what I put out there in terms of like my image and what I'm saying, because I'm putting it out there regardless, but rather what's actually gonna be enticing to people and beneficial.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, no matter what, Instagram is never gonna completely be able to get rid of that put together, polished look.
I know, and I've tried.
Whatever.
It honestly gives me anxiety when I do that. Like there's been points where like, I was like, you know what? Like I'm over it. I'll make my feed look decent. I'm posting whatever I want, whenever. And it makes me so much happier when my feed is pretty. It's like a personal thing. Like there's no shot people really notice unless like that's something that they enjoy as well. But it's honestly selfish of me.
Well, but that we could go into a whole tangent. Even though like we all love it, we all subscribe to it. Like I'm fascinated by it. People love it. Like there's still like a weird relationship between you and the likes and the psychology that I'm just I to talk about.
It is crazy. You need someone. I'm sure there has to be people who do studies on that.
Oh yeah. Have you seen The Social Dilemma? They talk about it.
Oh yes. Yeah. And it was all like thoughts or something like that.
Yes.
And the one scene from that, they were like on a fake airplane or something crazy. That's what stuck with me.
Oh, what stuck with me was when they showed the guy being off the app.
Also, yes.
And they pushed the notifications. So I'm always like, get off TikTok when you post. Get off of it. Like
it's crazy. It's so crazy.
Wild.
And some days, of course, are better. Sometimes your posts will engage, like they'll have great engagement. Other times they won't.
Yeah.
And that's just like, obviously it's not enjoyable, but it's what it is.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. I want to know kind of about your
Mhm.
personal relationship just with like social media as a whole. So many people like struggle with it, but like being on it, the influencer side, or now I'm back to influencer,
Yeah,
content creator,
it's
being
okay. We
on the
can go back.
content creator side, like, is it, hard when something doesn't perform well? Like, does it make you feel weird?
It depends what it is. If
Mm,
it's something that I put a lot of time and effort into, then it's totally upsetting when it doesn't perform well. But there's also times where I record a 7-second video and I put text on it. And that either, well, when it performs really well, it's like, are you joking? Like, that's
mhm.
great. But like,
Right.
really? But when that doesn't perform well, I could care less because I was like, I put minimal effort into that and it was worth a try type of thing. So I would say yes when it took me like, probably exaggerating, but like an hour to like film and change and come up with the idea and edit and write the caption and do the transitions and like all of that good stuff.
Mhm.
So
And then it,
yes,
right. And then
it's like, oh shoot.
like worked really hard on this. What is like your relationship with like looking at other people's social media, and like
That's
how
a
does it make
good
you feel?
That's a good question. I'd say huh, the only thing I kind of pay attention to is like what's working for them and
Mhm.
what's not working because if they create similar content as to me, I can use that as learnings for myself. But it's totally hard not to compare yourself to other influencers or creators or whoever they are, even though everyone's putting out such different content because everyone's so different. But
Mhm.
it's so easy to compare yourself um, and like what they're doing. And it's more like about like, I'm saying like a lot. It's more about brand deals and things like that. Like, oh, how did they get that? Should I reach out to them or did it like things along those lines?
The curiosity of it.
Yeah, it's like, so how did that happen? Or what about
Mhm.
that? Yeah.
Very cool. What would you say is your end goal with, now I'm back to
Good
influencing,
question.
influencing?
Influencing. That's a great question. If you asked me before, I would say to do this full time.
Mm,
And I still think that I would say that, but I don't, I'd be cautious of how sustainable it is in the long run, in the sense that, like, what was it, last year? My Instagram account got shut off for 2 weeks. They like reported suspicious act. No, what was it? I violated community guidelines. I was like, everything is so PG on my account. And then they restored it. But
right.
I'm not sure if you know this, it's so hard to get in contact with Instagram. Like,
Right.
there's no security in any of it. But theoretically, if there was, I
Uh-huh.
would love to do this full time. I love creating content. I love putting looks together for people. I love shopping for people, literally. I
Mhm.
love like telling them these tricks and tips and things like that. Like I love doing that. And I also love checking out cool places and sharing about it with people. So like they know to go here and there and try this restaurant and go to this pop-up and things like that. Like that gives me so much joy in my life. It's just more so, is it sustainable in the long run, which is such a bigger question. But
Right.
if it was, then this would totally be the end goal, which it still theoretically is, but you never know. It's
Yeah.
scary out there, scary in the
No,
world of social
you're
media.
not the first influencer on this show to say that. Too, is
Really?
that like, they worry a little bit about like where it's gonna go, and I feel like that's why so many influencers are switching to making their own products or own things.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that would probably be the end goal, but there's nothing that I would want that I'm confident that I want to dive into in that space at the moment,
I'm just gonna
if
throw
that
this one
makes
out there
sense.
because it's like rolling around in my mind.
Tell
I think
me.
you should style people. Like, I really
Someone
do.
said that to me
Yeah.
before.
Like, I
Someone
don't
has
know.
said that to me before.
Like,
Huh.
get a styling call with you. I don't know. That's my idea.
Oh,
I'm
I
throwing it out
like
there.
it.
Take
Like
it
some
on.
Zoom calls in person in New York. I
Right?
like it.
Yeah, like you can get like a Revolve folder from you and you've pulled looks for them. Like,
Ooh, I like that.
I just had to say it.
I like this. Okay. We should
Yeah,
talk
I
more
was like,
about
I'm just
this.
gonna put this one out there for my braid because like
I would love that.
I
The
use
only
the Revolve styling sometimes too,
Do
but like
you?
yeah, but
Oh my
sometimes like
goodness.
I'm just like, oh, you don't read like she's great. I do text her, but like I don't like she's never met me. So she doesn't
Yeah.
actually know that
Know
like
your style.
right, like I have a
That
dark preppy style. Like,
but you would have to tell her that. That's also the thing. When I write, I'd also always do like question boxes on my stories. Like,
Mhm.
what are you shopping for? Let me help you. And someone's like, I'm making this up, like floral dresses or like white dresses for spring. I'm like, but what I need like descriptive things
Right.
because I don't know who you are theoretically and what style you like. I'm like, how many white dresses do I post? Because I don't know if you like them or not. So the
Right.
one-on-one situation would be a lot better because I love doing that and looking and shopping.
Right. Do you ever get like kind of burnt out though working on this, or do you just have this
I think
amazing sustainability?
I think no one has that. I think I've never hit a point where I'm like, I want to stop doing this. Like that's not even in the question for me.
Mhm.
I don't see that ever crossing a path
Mhm.
that that's what I'm going to do. I think there's times where I'm more excited to work on it than others, or there's things that I'm more passionate that I'm working on than others.
Mhm.
For example, I'm redoing my website at the moment, and it's actually about to go live soon. And I love doing that. Like, I think it's so fun. I love like coming up with different ideas for people, like ways to shop. Going back to Revolve, like I made all these different Revolve lists for people to shop from and things like that. And they're all linked there and stuff like that. Like, I love doing that. The stuff that like kind of drains me more is like the logistics of everything, like posting and engaging and
Mhm.
like the stresses that I put on myself that aren't necessarily creative. They're more like logistical with
Right.
platforms. So yeah.
Right. You can't, even though like I kind of do believe you can just post and get off.
But you
Kinda
can't.
I
You
know.
can unless you're Kim Kardashian.
Like you can, I think you can, like if you're having a bad day,
Do it.
post, get off, respond to
Exactly.
shit later. Like,
Or for example, this morning I had like a 15-minute break and it was around my posting time during work at a 15-minute break. So I posted and I left it and it did decent and it's great and it's whatever, but I wouldn't do that every day.
there you go. Yeah. You wouldn't do it every day. Totally.
Exactly.
What has like social media and being such an being an avid poster, like what has it taught you about being confident? Or like, was there ever a time you were worried, like what people were saying
Saying
about the content? Sure.
that's honestly, I want to say no, which is crazy to
I love
say.
that.
And I think the reason why is because I didn't do this on my personal account.
Mm-hmm.
And at first there was like, at first, I think I might have been a bit more conservative in what I was posting in the sense I wasn't talking to the camera. I wasn't comfortable with that. Like, I didn't know. And like, when people found out about it, they were like, oh, like, just because it's pretty, like, oh, like Rachel, blah, 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 blah. Like, and people would like say things to me while I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
And majority, it's all, I can't think of anything negative, but I'd say 99.9% of stuff I would say is like positive stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which gives me the confidence to keep doing it. And I'm sure there's people who are talking about me. Everyone talks about everyone. Like, I can't imagine that doesn't exist, but you can't, that's like, even if I wasn't doing this, that would probably still happen in daily life or whoever it is. So, no, not really at all. And I think also the fact that it's not my original account that I started,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like people were like, oh, I want to unfollow her now. Like, people would only follow me if they were actually interested in it, maybe not interested in my outfits, but interested in like what the hell I was doing.
Right.
Even if it wasn't the most positive intent, like they made that choice. And so
Yeah.
it's not like I'm forcing, you know? So
No, totally.
it's interesting. And I think the other aspect of that is that people also feel like they know everything that's happening in my life,
Mm.
but that's so not true because I only share parts of it, you know?
Does that
So
feel weird for you that people think they know you and like really everyone is so much more complex like out in the world than just like, oh, here's this pretty girl with this pretty aesthetic. Like, how does
yes,
that feel?
and yes and no. I think to someone who I'm not very close with, or someone
Mhm.
who I've never met, or anyone who follows me who is not someone who's really close in my life, that doesn't, I feel like that doesn't really bother me at all.
Mhm.
Um, and rather, I'm creating content for them. Like, I'm there to help them in some sort of way, whether it's with the outfit or what to do or to style something, like, or shopping. Like, I'm there. That's why they follow me. That's what I'm there to do. And I love
Mhm.
doing that. And I love connecting with those people.
But
And
that's
I
not
love,
all you do.
no, exactly. Well,
Right.
exactly. And I think that's fine because that's what they come for. And like, that's
Mhm.
fine. But I think it's different for the people who I'm close to in my life and the people who really know me and have known me before this. And
Mhm.
it's like, oh, like I just know what's going on in your life because of your account. And I'm like, no, that's like a
Not
fourth
it.
of my life. I'm like, there's so much else happening. Like, that's not the full story of my life. That's just what
Right.
I choose to share, which is majority good times. I don't typically post bad things, which I know there's a lot of controversy out there about that. Like, should you not be, whatever. But if it's not relevant, I don't share it.
Right. Because it's beautiful things, shopping, like
Like,
tips and
things
tricks.
to,
Right.
exactly.
So it's like ridiculous for someone to think, oh, those
That's my
three
entire life.
things, that's your entire
Yeah.
personality, that's all you do. But we do it because we're so conditioned over time, like seeing a
Mhm.
constant post to think, oh, that's it. But like that's actually stupid.
It's wait, it's and even crazier. This actually happened. I was really sick a few weeks ago. I didn't have the flu. I didn't have COVID. Thank goodness. But I was like in bed sick. I was so convinced I had COVID. Didn't have. But no one knew
Right.
unless I was like my roommates knew, my family knew, my
Right.
boyfriend knew, people who like called me that week knew, but no one else knew
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because I wasn't like, nothing was pretty about me sick in bed blowing my nose all day. It was like, and I don't like to go on and complain and be like, oh, I'm so sick today.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I
So
know.
that was like a prime example of it.
Right. But I probably saw you post a cute photo and was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah, I exactly posted
yeah,
still, showed up, posted stuff from my trip
right.
to
Like
LA. It was
I had
great.
no idea you had a second job. I saw Sax in your bio and
Mhm.
I was like, I'm really curious about that. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, she has a boyfriend. Like, oh, right. Like, of course she has a family. Like, I've just like
She has
deduced.
brothers.
Right. Oh, you've
They make
simply
it on
like,
there. Yeah, they make it on there sometimes. They did the other day.
right. It's just, I've deduced you to this and that's it. And that's all
Hmm.
the only bubble you can serve in my head. Okay. Like, it's ridiculous.
Exactly. It's crazy. And the thing is, though, I don't know if that it doesn't necessarily bother me at all because that's what I choose to put out there.
Mhm.
It's just, I just think it's kind of funny sometimes when people think that's the only thing in my that is happening in my life. Not that that's a
Right.
bad thing or not. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I overslept today on accident.
You're like, this is just, it is what it is. Did you like
Yeah.
make the choice to be like, I'm not going to share these things, or that just like authentically happened?
Good question. I go back and forth about all
Mm.
of this stuff a lot. I'm not one to like cause waves ever. Like that's me who I am in my personal life. Like I
Mm.
feel like I never want, I'm not a drama person. I'm not like a pity party person. I don't know. It's just not very natural to me. And it doesn't feel natural to me about sharing that stuff either. And I don't know. I just really never have. And I know some people disagree with that. I know some people it doesn't bother them at all. But if that was something that I really wanted to share, then I would, or I don't know, I would have made an account focused on politics or whatever it was.
Right.
If that was like what I wanted to really share. But I think a lot of times I choose not to share certain things
And that's fine.
about like, yeah, exactly. And if someone wanted to DM me and have a conversation about whatever something might be, like,
Mhm.
of course, like I love connecting with people and answering questions and letting them pick my mind and things like that. But I share just whatever feels right and I don't really think too deep into it. And but people have said to me before, like, are you gonna share about this? Are you gonna share about that?
And you're just like, no. No.
And honestly, sometimes I have because I'm like, oh shoot, should I be?
Sure.
Which is fine as well because it
Right.
brings it to my attention and I really appreciate that. But it really depends.
Right. No, it's so interesting. The whole push for authentic content is so interesting because
I know.
I just don't really think on
It
one
depends
hand.
on the account.
Yeah,
Like,
it depends. Like you
and
don't owe me you being sick or you being upset about something. Like also, what did I follow you for? Not
yeah,
that.
and that's what I
So
was gonna say. Like, one, I don't feel like that's anything that's obviously like I posted like a few days later, I was like out with water and I was like, oh, like I was sick, like I'm drinking water at the bar tonight. I can't drink, I'm on antibiotic type of thing. And like
right.
and whatever, fun life. Like I'll share things like that, but I don't need to be like again blowing my nose on camera. But on the other side, like I would be totally transparent about like what's gifted on my outfit and what I've bought and things like that. Like there's another side to it as well. It doesn't have to be like my inner thoughts.
Right.
It's like I don't want to deceive people in any way. I want to be authentic, but I share about specific things and I will be authentic every single day that I show up on my accounts about that stuff.
Totally. Yeah. And
So yeah,
once again, you're holding yourself accountable to what you want to share, what you don't, just like really being in charge of yourself.
I very much agree with that. Like I 100% couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, you don't have to blow left or right just because. And I think the thing we're getting to, hopefully, with I think TikTok has helped is like there is space for creators in all different walks of life. You know, if you want to be a mental health page, be a mental health page.
Exactly. Yeah. People will follow you for that and for those resources and for your thoughts on that. And that's phenomenal. I agree though. TikTok has totally opened the door for that. Instagram is not the most inclusive place at all.
No, I don't think it has been. Yeah.
But TikTok, on the other hand, they're doing something right.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious to see in 10 years how we're going to feel about TikTok. Because at some point, I think also why we can't get over that Instagram, like, is always aesthetically pleasing thing is so old. And like, that's why some people will just shut it off. And I wonder at some point we're going to be like, I'm so over everyone being so authentic and shut it.
Going back to that.
I'm so curious.
I know. But I do think, I mean, I feel like I feel this way too. Like even if my feed looks beautiful, let's say, like if you click on the real cover, like it could be like a funny video that I post on TikTok. So it still does show up there. So I think it's turning into like a mix of it all, which I think the two kind of need to like, there has to be there needs to be a middle ground. I would love that. One platform, we're done.
Yeah, agreed. Similar to how I feel about streaming services. Like it just needs to be all condensed. Like I'm watching this.
Oh my God. Could you imagine if you could just turn on one thing in every show that you could possibly watch?
It's just
I can't even remember my
next episode for like each of them instead of like in and out, whatever, the whole thing.
And it's like, is it on Netflix? Is it on Hulu?
I know. The first thing I do is Google it to see so I don't waste my time.
Yes. Genius looking on I know. First world problems over here.
My confessions of literally binge watching TV. Okay, you manage so freaking much. What is your advice? And I'm gonna even coin you one. What is your it girl advice for managing it all?
only do it if it makes you happy and you're enjoying doing it. If you're just pushing yourself to do it, you're never going to want to do it. You're never going to be motivated to do it. And you're never going to find the time to do it either.
Mhm.
So find something that really lights you up, and that's how you're going to get motivated, and that's how you're going to get it done.
Yeah, agreed. And then what is your advice for people who are looking to grow in the space?
Good question. Oh, that is loaded. My first advice would be, don't listen to every piece of advice that you see on TikTok or Instagram. It will get in your head and you'll think that I need to do 16 hashtags and I have to put them here, and don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, follow the standard rules, use hashtags, all that good stuff, tag people, yada yada. But I'd say create content that has value, which is hard sometimes in the space of posting your outfits. I struggle with that. Like, I'm sure other creators
3
do.
TikToks a day. Like, come on.
I know. Like,
Yeah.
not everything can add value, but that is what performs the best. Even like I've posted videos about like how to use my Dyson Airwrap, and like people were watching it to learn how to do it, and like that performs well.
Right.
So it's getting a little creative with the stuff that you're doing and thinking, if I was looking at this, what would I want to know? Like, what do you know that other people don't know? And share that with them. But share about stuff that you love as well. Because again, you'll get burned out. Not worth it.
I say this a lot. Like, we won't watch me try on outfits, even though I love shopping. I love getting new clothes. It's just not something I'm going to like making. And we're going to know. We're all going to know.
And it's not going to be sustainable. You're going to be like, okay, this is the longest day or hour of my life filming this reel.
Yeah. And you're like, no, not at all.
Yes. No, I hear you. Absolutely. I think that's the key to it all.
Well,
and
Rachel,
people will know.
Oh, people will know. No, like
they will absolutely know.
All the training wheels of like the glass of like, oh no, like this is the Instagrammer, like, and they love doing that. That's completely broken.
And with TikTok, absolutely
so
agree.
Shattered. Rachel, you are literally so grounded and so just like got it all lined out, and I love it. But tell us like what's next for you and plug yourself out.
Good question. Amazing. Happy to. So what's next? I guess I'm starting my new job. I will hopefully share more about that on all of my accounts. I have, as I mentioned before, I have an updated version of my website launching. So www.justbecausei'spretty.com, linked in all my bios. And I'm putting different features on there where you can like shop specific lists for different occasions, whether it's like specific as like spring under 100, wedding dress guesses. Like, I've really kind of thought through all different things. And if you want something specifically, DM me and I will be thrilled to make it. And then I guess last but not least, where you can find me, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest, all at Just Because It's Pretty. And always feel free to DM me and say hi. Love it.
Love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you for having me. This was a little bit too much fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad
I can talk about it all for hours.
Oh, good. I love it. All right.
Amazing.
Bye-bye.